Don in London, good morning. May 19th, my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour equally addictive around people, places and things. So drinking, wanting to be in the right place with the right people, with the right things. A very good consumer of everything, and that's the way it was. That's the way it was. 24/7 drinking in the end, didn't know how to stop. Got to a place where I just couldn't find out what to do next. In the process, over 35 years, had two pretty good careers, lots of different jobs and lots of different experiences. Jobs, yes, from almost road sweeper through to working in the boardroom or working with directors of big business and doing something in big business. And where did it get me? Well, I always said yes to anything, and it took a long time to work out it was okay to say no. And I only found out how to do that in recovery, how to say no to things which aren't good for me. So, all those years of drinking, well, there were good times and bad times, and a lot of things happened which were extraordinary, but nowhere near as extraordinary as life is without a drink inside me on a daily basis. So from a hardened dependent to an addicted person through to a person in recovery, from each of the addictions that I could have around substance, again I say alcohol was the main one, and behaviour, trying to be perfect and never so. So what helped me get out of this mess, or the mess I got myself into? Well, I needed help, and that was the final understanding. It was die or get help, and I'd nearly expired on more than one occasion too. And the irony is, when I was in the madness of drink, I didn't realise just how vulnerable I was. And in recovery, now I see the vulnerability that I had. I had a cavalier attitude towards my own health and well-being, and it made me callous towards myself, and then with a feeling of not being good enough ever on top, depression. So these days, just gently, one day at a time, staying sober. So family, friends, community and medical people helps me stay alive long enough to find out what to do next. And what helped me more than anything was fellowship, and the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. So my story is about my journey in life, always, a day at a time. And for me, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't speak for it, never can, never will, is full of unique, authentic people who share their experience, strength and hope in groups and meetings of the fellowship on a daily basis. So what you see is what you get on a daily basis. Sometimes people are happy, sometimes people are sad, sometimes people are just having a reasonable time, sometimes we're angry and resentful about what's going on in life. But we don't drink, simply one day at a time. And this is why, and it says it on this little card here, which is the AA preamble, shared at every meeting or group meeting I go to of the fellowship. And it reads like this, and it's important because it really sums up what it's all about. So this is what it says in the AA preamble. If you need to go to a meeting and are looking for the sobriety, or you have it already, it's a great reminder on a daily basis of what we're there to do. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So, is therefore one purpose, sobriety, and a desire to stop drinking. There are no rules, laws, or, I suppose, regulations as such, which we need obey. because it's about being unique, authentic, and having freedom of choice. So everything is done by personal choice in fellowship, and the fellowship is there for one purpose, sobriety. But we bring to each meeting our whole life experiences. So sometimes you're going to hear stories about what is right for another person, their faith, their belief, their understanding of what sober is and how it works for them. And we take from them what is good for us, and we develop it in our own unique, authentic way. We may have people we like who may sponsor us, people we like who we become friends with, and they all have their own different backgrounds. So although it's full of people with unique, authentic views, and they share them on a personal basis in the meetings, what you see is what you get. So it's attraction rather than promotion, because we know we cannot guarantee in any shape or form sobriety for any person. We can't guarantee it. That would be promotion, and the only way to work at sobriety is to work at it. It's all about action in our attitudes and behaviour. So for individuals, there's the 12-step program, and as a fellowship we have 12 traditions which hold the thing together, the whole shebang. So there are no leaders in AA, and there are no spokespersons in AA, which is why I emphasise always this is one voice of many, just one voice of many, and it's the many voices where we get the wisdom, hopefully by being in meetings or being in connection with people, which may be over the internet, face to face, or however it works for a particular person. But sometimes people just cannot get to meetings, which is why I do these videos. So we're all fellows in fellowship, and we all have our opinions, and we work out what is right for us as we go. So the 12-step program about being open, honest and willing to change, and the 12 traditions for the fellowship, all about unity, service and recovery. So for an individual, open, honest and willing to change. For the fellowship, unity, service and recovery. And that does not challenge anybody's point of view or their outlook. It enables freedom of choice. And it's an organisation turned upside down, because it's the groups of AA which determine what the fellowship is, and where you are. That's what you see is what you get. It's called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. And on any given day, that is the fellowship. So the fellowship is always one day old. And when it says it doesn't have, it doesn't rely on any outside source for money, we pay as groups for our own rent, coffee and whatever, and we contribute mainly to literature and a skeleton organisation which is there to give service to its members. The skeleton organisation, whether it's got a leader which manages a part of it, they are trusted servants. They don't govern. So that's how it works. It's an upside down organisation in the understanding of how organisations generally work out there in the world. So it's about the individual, and it's about fellowship. It's about our personal growth and our personal conduct as we go along in recovery. And that AA preamble really highlights what it's all about. So the 12-step program is covered in this book. Well, it's covered in many books actually. This is the main one, AA's big blue book, and mine's covered in coffee stains because I've read it so many times. Not all at once, only bits at a time, but there are certain chapters which I've covered in other videos as well. The first 11 chapters, which is really how it works. And how it works is how we live one day at a time in reality today. So those 12 steps in this book here, Daily Reflections, really help reinforce what's going on. And one of the things, the reason why I do these daily is it's part of my meditation and thought process, starting of the day. So the 12 steps, step 1, all about being powerless over alcohol, people, places and things. And if I try and control anything, life will get unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a higher power could restore me to sanity. That is true. I have so many higher powers around me. The wisdom comes from any source, and it helps me keep sober, helps me understand life, mainly through people. So the greater power of many, which is what groups of people is all about, what meetings are all about, we share, and as a group we learn and develop. So I'm lucky. In London there are 700 meetings I could go to a week, and I go to my local meetings as often as is possible and necessary. So if I can get to a meeting every day, all well and good. So step 3 was let go and let God, or let go and let good things happen. In other words, let go of me being right and let in the world of wisdom. Step 4, to do a personal life story, looking at what made me angry, resentful, where are my defects of character. And for me the blazing obvious ones are fear of others, fear of not being good enough, fear of life, and putting on a brave face so you don't know. So part of the whole process, being open, honest and willing, is opening up, and then in step 5, sharing the exact nature of my wrongs, if you like, sharing it with God, another person, whatever. It's confession of the life story, and really realizing what fear, brave facing and ego did. It curtailed my emotional and spiritual development. Then in step 6, it's all about looking at my defects and having them removed. But again, it only works on a daily basis. So I ask on a daily basis, through meditation and prayer, to the God of my understanding. And it's your God or your good conscience which is important here, around overcoming or dealing with and letting go of the fear, the need to have a brave face, an ego which is brittle. It's about covering up my shame and guilt. Well, if I stop being shameful and guilty about not knowing, then my shortcomings start to improve, which is step 7, to look at my shortcomings. And mine were not enough faith, not enough courage, not enough confidence to keep on being open, honest and willing. So 6 and 7 is what I cover in June and July in my videos, with the help of the literature and experience, strength and hope learned in the rooms of AA. And then in step 8, it's about making a list of amends and being willing to make a list of people harmed and being willing to make amends to them. So it's simply a list. And then in step 9, in conjunction with other people, working out how to make the amends and restitution as best I can without harming other people. So it's not about me going and saying, by the way, 25 years ago I'm really sorry for what I did, and then causing harm to other people by raking up the past. I need some help. So step 9 is an inclusive way forward. And then the steps 10, 11 and 12, often called the maintenance steps. Step 10, all about what disturbs me on a daily basis, doing an inventory of what's gone wrong or has disturbed me, brought up fear, brave facing, ego, guilt, shame, anger, resentments, and then dealing with that, looking at it on a daily basis. It's much more easy because once we've got through the mountain of step 4 in the life story, step 10 is about the daily story and gratitude, doing a gratitude list on a daily basis, the things I'm grateful for. So I've had 1 or 2 disturbances over the last few days, like a delivery of 1 or 2 items which has held up progress in my decoration of my flat, and also trying to download the right software for a new telephone I've got, mobile. And it can be angry, disturbing and difficult because I don't know enough to make sure these things happen. And what happened with the delivery? For some reason, whatever it was, they tried to deliver it, and apparently I wasn't here, but I was. So whatever happened is happening. Delays happen in life. So how do I handle that? Yeah, it's not urgent. It's not going to kill me. I don't need to be disturbed by something not working out. So I don't need to be angry and resentful. So the step 10s work for me, and I'm grateful to be alive. Don't forget, for me, life is not only about recovery, it's also about type 1 diabetes, clinical depression, and all the side effects of different things. I am affected by different things connected with those conditions because they are progressive, and, well, type 1 diabetes is progressive, You don't get cured from it. And clinical depression is always there in different cycles. But the cycle at the moment seems to be in a place of stability and not going downhill. So I monitor these things, and part of the reason for doing these videos, it helps me know how am I feeling, why, and what can I do. So how do I feel this morning? A bit of frustration around not being able to complete all the tasks and make it work the way I want it to work. But that's alright. And then in step 11, prayer meditation, conscious contact with the power greater than me, which I feel includes truth, love and wisdom. The absolute truth of now, not my opinion about it. The truth of reality, the reality in which I am. So prayer meditation improves my conscious contact with reality, where spiritual happens. And for me, there are no gurus in life. There are people with wisdom who can be teachers, I guess, but never put them on a pedestal. And I hope I'm never put on a pedestal, because it means I'll be knocked off. I'm not perfect. I have off days and I have good days, just like everybody else. And then step 12 is sharing the message. So these videos are about sharing a message on a personal level, experience, strength and hope, including how AA helps me. But I don't represent AA, never can, never will. I value and I guess have great esteem for anyone who's trying to get sober, whether they're one day trying or 20 years into the program of recovery. We're all in the same place, one day at a time. It's today. So step 5 in May, all about the sharing our life story, and it reads exactly as: admitted to God, to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And I have loads of the exact nature of my wrongs along the way, but wrongfulness, or simply ignorance sometimes of what I was doing, because fear shuts down me being open. Putting on a brave face means no one's getting in to see the real me, and ego is about not being found out. So I'd rather be found out on a daily basis, either by me or by other people who feel able to challenge me because I'm just the same size as them, human size. So step 5 was good for me. And it took time to do the step 4, life story, and then other things are remembered after the event. It was a great relief to go through step 4 and 5. I did it in a continuous process over several weeks, which went into months. So it was done by age, and what happened to me, and how I dealt with it, and my part in it. And often when it comes down to the life story, our simple part in it was the place we were in with the people and what happened. And it's not about blaming them for anything, it's about looking at my part in it, from actively being involved or simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, which led to behaviour, which led to addictive behaviour and drinking. So in this book, Daily Reflections for today, May 19th, Giving Without Strings. So coming back to the 12-step program, open, honest and willing to change. And he well knows that his own life has been made richer as an extra dividend of giving to another without any demand for a return, giving without strings. The concept of giving without strings was hard to understand when I first came into the program. I was suspicious when others wanted to help me, and genuinely I was. I was befuddled, without a doubt, and bewildered. I thought, what do they want in return? But I soon learned the joy of helping another alcoholic, and I understood why they were there for me in the beginning. My attitudes changed, and I wanted to help others. Sometimes I became anxious, as I wanted them to know the joys of sobriety, that life can be beautiful, when my life is full of a loving God of my understanding, and I give that love to my fellow alcoholic. I feel a special richness that is hard to explain. And you know, love in fellowship, unconditional love in fellowship is giving without strings, and we give to the extent that we can, and without doing harm to another person by imposing ourselves, and not with them imposing desperately on us. That is why fellowship, the voices of the many, the wisdom of the many, is so important, because if one person is totally reliant on me or totally reliant on a sponsor, we pull them down rather than build them up. So we give and keep on giving experience, strength and hope as we can, in an open, honest and willing way. But woe betide anybody who feels that they can do it to large numbers of people in a loving, supportive way which doesn't become dependency of the newcomer. Newcomers need to have the ability to keep on learning from many people and not just one person, or it causes codependence, where one person either has power over another or the other is subordinate, and the whole point of the fellowship is to be, I suppose, equal, isn't it? Or however would we survive so long? And I was reading in As Bill Sees It this morning, this one, Bill Wilson, a co-founder, Arrogance and its Opposite, page 199. A very tough-minded prospect was taken to his first AA meeting, where two speakers, or maybe lecturers, because, yeah, that's what I don't want to be here, I'm just one voice, themed their talks on God as I understand him. Their attitude oozed arrogance. In fact, the final speaker got far overboard on his personal theological convictions. And don't forget, we're there for sobriety and a higher power of our own understanding. Both were repeating my performance of years before. Implicit in everything they said was the same idea. Folks, listen to us. We have the only true brand of AA, and you better get it. And as someone said to me on a social network yesterday, certain brands of AA are exclusive. They shut people out of the fellowship, rather than inclusive, where we open the doors and say, come in and say what you've got to say. The new prospect said he had it, and he had. His sponsor protested that this wasn't real AA, but it was too late. Nobody could touch him after that. I see humility for today as a safe and secure stance midway between violent emotional extremes. It is a quiet place where I can keep enough perspective and enough balance to take my next small step up the clearly marked road that points toward eternal values. Truth, love and wisdom for me. Those are my eternal ones. They're timeless. Truth is timeless because it's always happening now. Love, unconditional in the moment, and wisdom, gained in the moment, are true spiritual connection. And nobody's spiritual experience is greater or smaller than anybody else's. It may be rich in happiness or rich in sadness, a strange way to put it, or rich in anger, resentment, or rich in love, which is unconditional. So that's why I'm always careful about gurus, because the simple answer is it's truth, love and wisdom, and the higher power is what we understand for ourselves, not another person. But if we adopt through our faith a particular understanding of God, that's perfectly okay, as long as we don't try and push it on somebody else. Otherwise we're dealing in religion, and that's not what AA is about. It's not about dealing in religion or anything like that. It's about dealing in sobriety, or sharing how it works. And that makes me feel happier now, having said that. That's part of why I do these videos. I'll leave it there for today. May is an interesting month where it's all about sharing truth, love, wisdom, open, honest and willing to share life stories with those we trust. And for anonymity, anonymity is so crystal clear for me. It's the sanctuary, like a confidential place, where we find the truth of who we are and what we're becoming. And by the end of the day, I know more about who I am. Simple as that. My attitudes to life have changed dramatically since I got into recovery. And it's not about being right. It's not about being the best at something. It's about understanding where I am today and what the freedoms are. Freedom of choice to choose what to do next, given my life circumstances. and I'm coming up to 55 very shortly, which is quite surprising, with a few years of sobriety. But I also know that my sobriety is contingent on my spiritual condition, the ability to live in the moment of now, not hampered by my history piling in on me, and not being overly worried about what will happen tomorrow. Expectations day-sized in the moment of now. So when it's going a bit awry, or off beam, or off a narrow path of sobriety, into the extremes of life, where I can get upset or overwhelmed by feelings, the Serenity Prayer helps me get back to a place of perspective before I get to a meeting even. And that's how it works for me. It's not difficult to understand that it's simple, living life in the moment, understanding truth, love and wisdom around us. And if it were more than that, I don't know that anybody would get sober. But there is mysticism around higher powers and God, and it's really what you choose to understand, or what you come to understand, your unique take on it. Doesn't matter what anybody else says, it's what you understand and how it works for you, always. So to God, or in good conscience, the Serenity Prayer, which is in the moment of now always. God, grant me the serenity and understanding to pause long enough to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference, always learning. And for me, always in the moment and just for today. Good morning, DonInLondon, May 19th, 2009, and my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol; my behaviour, trying to be whatever you wanted me to be. Perfect, never so, and striving to please the world in order that I could find my place in it. And I never realised I could actually make my own choices about my life and what it could be, because I had no sense of self, I guess, for a long, long time. But just gradually, on a day-to-day basis now, I get my identity back and make something of what is, instead of what might be or what you want me to be. So addiction, yes, taking the edge off, it finally got me in the end. And if we go too far, we can't go back. This is all I've learned as I've gone along. So what are my videos really about? Well, it's sharing a message of experience, strength and hope about what keeps me sober on a daily basis. And what helps me most make life work is sobriety. And my way of looking after my sobriety and being helpful to others is to be part of a fellowship, and that fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous. We are all unique, authentic beings, and although the fellowship has one similarity, which I'll share in the preamble in just a moment, we go into an AA fellowship and become ourselves, unique, authentic people, and we leave every day when we've been to a meeting, or however many we go to, simply unique, authentic beings getting on with life as it can be in just one day. So that's the my preamble, if you like, and the fellowship preamble, the AA fellowship. I don't speak for it, cannot. If it has unique, authentic people in it, they are able and capable, as time goes by, to make their own judgment about what is good for them. So I can only speak for myself, and that's just right. I would not want to speak for AA. It's just a collection of people meeting on a daily basis with a very simple structure where everybody has equal rights to be there. And the preamble, which is shared at every meeting, goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And again, in that last sentence there, is about a primary purpose to stay sober. And if we can do that, we can make the rest of life work. But when we go back for some more research or convincing that maybe drink can be taken, the absolute truth is we find very quickly that no amount will take the edge off again. All we get is oblivion and a sense of not enjoying and not liking life too much, because having taken the edge off so successfully for so many years and then found reality quite attractive in the end of all of this, taking another drink would actually take the edge off more and stop our, I suppose, spiritual, emotional and physical well-being. And that's the key on a daily basis for me, understanding what is spiritual, which is to cope with reality, know what my emotional state is, be it up or down, and my physical as best I can get with what is currently a part of a long program of long-term illness, and that's type 1 diabetes, a gift of recovery, and also understanding where I am with clinical depression. And at the moment, having had 4 months of sort of abject horror of the desolation of depression again, I'm coming out of it, and that's a gift of professional help as much as anything. And we all find our way to get professional help if we need it, or we don't have the need for it, and we go along on our own. So some of us can, some of us can't, but it's knowing the difference which makes it all work for me today. And here on YouTube, I share from the daily reflections, one page each day, giving us an insight into what we can reflect upon and keep our sobriety going in the right direction. So 1 page a day, there are 12 months and there are 12 action steps to take in the program of recovery, AA's 12 steps. So step 5 for May is all about sharing our fearless moral inventory with another person and God, or good conscience, depending on your belief system. And a strong recommendation is that you understand your own belief system. If you believe in God, that's all to the good. If you believe in good conscience, that's all to the good. And I know that we can all oscillate between atheist, agnostic and firm God believer on any given day, given our life experience and circumstances. So sometimes we may believe in a higher power which is God related, but it's not necessarily religious related. It's what you believe for yourself. And as I have said before, there are 6.5 to 7 billion people on the planet. They will have an understanding of their own spiritual, the reality in which we live. So May 19th, it says here, giving without strings. And he well knows that his own life has been made richer as an extra dividend of giving to another without any demand for a return. And that comes from As Bill Sees It, page 69. The concept of giving without strings was hard to understand when I first came into the program. I was suspicious when others wanted to help me. I thought, what do they want in return? But I soon learned the joy of helping another alcoholic, and I understood where they were there for me in the beginning. My attitudes changed, and I wanted to help others. Sometimes I became anxious, as I wanted them to know the joys of sobriety, that life can be beautiful. When my life is full of a loving God, of my understanding, and I give that love to my fellow alcoholic, I feel a special richness that is hard to explain. And you know, whether we believe in God or good conscience, it's how we feel about sharing a message of experience, strength and hope. It's part of doing something useful, contributing to family, community and society, because if we are sober, then the rest of life can follow. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. All I've known in recovery is more hard work, and that's good, because it means I'm useful, not only to myself but to people around me. So the sharing of the message is crucial, really, that we can live without taking the edge off, and we can cope with reality a little bit better each day as we learn some more wisdom. But we can be overwhelmed, and when that happens, we not only need fellowship, but we probably need any family we may have around, community in particular, and society, and to work with it rather than work against it. So coming on to As Bill Sees It, this one, as many pages as you like, any particular day, but here on page 106 it talks about perfect humility, and that's not humbleness, it's humility, equality in my case, I think. For myself, I try to seek out the truest definition of humility that I can. This will not be the perfect definition, because I shall always be imperfect. At this writing I would choose one like this. Absolute humility would consist of a state of complete freedom from myself, freedom from all the claims that my defects of character now lay so heavily upon me. Perfect humility would be a full willingness in all times and places to find and to do the will of God, or good conscience in my case. When I meditate upon such a vision, I need not be dismayed because I shall never attain it, nor need I swell the presumption that one of these days its virtues shall be mine, shall be all mine. I only need to dwell on the vision itself, letting it grow and evermore fill my heart. This done, I can compare it with my last taken personal inventory. Then I get a sane and healthy idea of where I stand on the highway to humility. I see that my journey toward God has scarce begun, or good conscience. As I thus get down to my right size and stature, my self-concern and self-importance become amusing, and that's so true, because we are part of a greater good, if you like, a good conscience, and wherever it came from, whether it was from nature or nurture, whether it was there from nature and providence that we became, I don't know, we just became who we are. It's who we are today, and living in the moment, which counts above all. And it's Chelsea Flower Show today. It's just started raining again. Sunshine on rain. Yes. It's going to be an interesting week. All I can say at the moment is the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's just for one day, and hopefully, and with a bit of good fortune, I'll be back tomorrow.